ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this morning's episode of Trending, brought to you in association with Iconic Coffee. If you head over to shop.iconic.com and use the code TRENDING, you get 10% off. I've come as you and you've come as me, Jay.
Can I just point out, I was wearing this when I walked in the office. You chose to put that on when you had other options.
Yes, well, we've both been on holiday, so we're both kind of trying to get back into the swing of it. I've been sat in a caravan looking out at the drizzle, thinking I'd love some human-caused climate change about now. You actually had some sunshine though, Jay, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to the Algarve, mate. It was absolutely amazing. It was good fun. I was just saying to everyone in the office yesterday, last day, whistle went off in the pool and that someone had done a poo in the pool. And upon examination, it wasn't a kid. Normal. Right.
How's your breakfast?
Yeah, it's kidding it. Yeah, exactly. It's just, yeah.
Right, let's
humanity.
go from poo to Trump.
That's quite a
That's
good
a segue,
actually, yeah. Right, so over the weekend, he spoke about the fact he was moving submarines closer to Russia after a few days after he gave Russia the 10-12-day ultimatum to end this war. Well, obviously, that was only going to lead to one thing. It was going to lead to some kind of reaction or some kind of response, which is what he wants because he's a child. And it's what the cult want because they want conflict. So they'll move the chess pieces to try and bring that closer and closer to reality. So this is a story from the Daily Mail this morning. After Trump moves nuclear submarines close to Russia, Putin responds by beginning war game training with China in a bleak show of combined force. In retaliation to the US President Donald Trump moving submarines close to Russia, Putin has begun war game training with China. Last night, Trump confirmed 2 US Navy submarines are getting closer to Russia after an online spat with former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, now deputy chairman of Russia's National Security Council. What's happened where basically you have leaders just having a row on social media and then leading to military things being done like moving submarines, nuclear submarines closer to borders? I mean, what I know it's 2025, but this just reality TV has become, life, isn't it?
That's what happens when you well, actually, I was going to say let children take over, but that's a bit offensive to children.
Well, it is because children get on generally.
Yeah, fair point.
In response, Russia and China today showed their strengthening military ties as they took part in a staged mock combat drills and other war games off the Sea of Japan. A statement from China's defense ministry said the joint sea drills 2025 were launched in waters near, not going to try and pronounce that.
Go on, have a go.
Vladivostok, Russia's largest port in the Pacific Ocean. 4 Chinese vessels, including guided missile destroyers and so on and so on and so on, were included. These exercises include submarine rescues, joint anti-submarine, air defense, air missile, anti-missile operations, and maritime combat. Now Russia and China, if you remember a few years ago, 2022, I think it was, signed a no limits military pact, which basically is similar to what NATO do, which is, one goes, we both go.
Yeah.
We're seeing more and more demonization of Russia constantly over the last few years. We saw the demonization of China through COVID. Apparently it started there.
China.
Yeah. And those two have obviously been pushed closer and closer together. We also, the third kind of wheel in that scenario was always Iran. Now, Russia and China didn't really do anything. Certainly didn't do anything, obviously, when Israel attacked Iran a few weeks ago. But if it had been a full-scale invasion, potentially they may have done. But we're seeing these alliances be built more and more and more and more. You've seen Russia and North Korea getting closer and closer together. There's a story this morning about Russian tourism in North Korea because the two allies are getting closer together. So it's very clear, as we've stated for a very long time on this program, that these chess pieces are being moved into alignment, and all these supposedly isolated events like what we're seeing in Ukraine, what we're seeing in Gaza, what we're seeing in Iran, that might look isolated, really, they're not. They're all moving those pieces into place. What's happening in Ukraine is occupying Russia, occupying Russian attention. What's happened in Israel and Iran is occupying Iranian attention. What's potentially going on in Taiwan is occupying Chinese attention, and all of it is just bringing those three closer and closer together for that inevitable conflict which they want. And I say inevitable because in their mind it's everything is leading there. It's not inevitable if we don't allow it to happen. And you might be sitting at home thinking, well, how do we not allow it to happen? Well, wars can't happen unless militaries decide to turn up. So people in the military need to look at this pragmatically and go, well, we're being hoodwinked here. We're being manipulated into a scenario where we're fighting for essentially the destruction of our country. While at the same time today, I don't know if you saw, there's a story about asbestos in MOD homes here in the UK. So they're saying more people will have died from asbestos poisoning than in the entire Afghan war from the military. So they don't love you. They don't look after you. They don't care. They don't care about you or your family. So this sort of what feels like an inevitable end of a third world war certainly isn't. If these people in positions of military responsibility refuse to be part of it.
Yeah, I mean, war has been on the menu for a long time, and so this is the sous chef doing a little bit of prep, really, for me. I think actually, in a weird kind of way, by kind of occupying Russia with Ukraine, so they didn't get involved in Iran and stuff like that, and now potentially pushing China with everything that's going on in the South China Sea and provoking. It's almost like they're kind of trying to escalate that so that Russia gets itself into a position where it's like, well, hang on, we've got multiple fronts potentially here. We were doing, a certain operation in Ukraine, but actually we need to end this now. And if they end it now, that's pretty bleak in terms of it's probably not going to be at the negotiation table. It's probably going to be being dropped from the sky and going bang very loudly. Another point, actually, quickly, just as you mentioned there, is it stopped Russia getting involved in Syria as well and allowed Syria to fall very quickly. Yeah, it did, yeah. Which is all part of, that greater Israel project for one reason. There's multiple reasons, but that's certainly a very large one of them. The other aspect of it, Jay, is it's also about creating fear. Because if you've got a frightened population, then you can get more stuff through. Because fear allows you to take money from the population, which they're doing. We need to increase defense spending. We need to do this. We need to do that. And people go, oh, okay, we can't really afford it, but go on then, because I don't want to die. And also, it's another way of policing the internet. So you're going to have all this talk. You have it all the time. Russian cyber attack, Russian bots, Iranian trolls, all this kind of stuff. I mean, it sounds like something from Lord of the Rings. But it's another way of allowing people to go, oh, okay, well, I don't really want more surveillance. Yep. But actually, if that surveillance is going to protect me from X, Y, and Z, then go on then. Mm-hmm. And of course, once they've got that through the door, they never rescind it when they say the threat is over, because it doesn't work like that when they take your freedoms away. Yeah. So it's an interesting time. I think
fear is massive, like you say.
It is, yeah. But I don't think it's working. No. If I'm honest, I really don't think it's working. I don't know how you feel about this at home, ladies and gentlemen, but for me, I don't think it's working. I see very few people frightened of China, frightened of Russia, and frightened of Iran. In fact, most people are more frightened of our own government. Yep. More frightened of Keir Starmer, Zippy, talking us into a battle with these people rather than anything else. And the fact that you had about 2 weeks ago now the Russian government coming out on their X account saying, we're not going to attack England, don't worry about it. Like, imagine that. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It actually is embarrassing for Britain to have a foreign government going, don't worry, guys, kids, don't worry about it. It's fine. We have no intention of attacking you. Oh, okay. Cheers. It's yeah.
Well, fear and war is a really interesting one because it allows them to use that as an excuse for so many different things. One, as an excuse for increasing defence spending, like you said. Another one, a big one, an excuse for incompetence. I mean, if you remember through COVID and following COVID, how many times was COVID used as an excuse for companies being crap, for things taking too long, for customer service being shocking, for X, Y, and Z? Companies still now use it as an excuse. It still signs up, we're short-staffed because of this. And if there's, look, the economy's crashing, everyone's poorer, we've got to raise taxes, we've got to do this, and none of these things are good, guys, I'm afraid. It's all because of this potential bogeyman of Russia. We need to work together. We need to unite. We need to protect ourselves. So all these things that you're dealing with, they're not dealing with, you're dealing with, that are making your lives worse, well, it's got to happen, I'm afraid. I think that's a massive reason it can be used. It's what Netanyahu was used to hold on to power for the last however many years.
Well, what is the biggest thing that's affecting Britain right now and concerning British people? It's mass unfiltered immigration. And they blamed that on Russia, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
They blamed it on Russian gangs. Yeah, it's the Russians.
And while you talk about fear, the fear of that will lead to the solution of digital ID.
Absolutely.
Well, if they let it.
Okay, so this is stories from the Middle East. Israeli police release squatter, accused of killing Palestinian activist. Israeli police have refused to release the body of Awada Hathalin, if I'm saying that right, a Palestinian activist and journalist who helped make the Oscar-winning documentary No Other Land.
Just a coincidence.
Certainly didn't target him. Of course not. while the squatter, accused of killing him, Yinon Levy, has been released from custody. And he actually wasn't even in custody, ladies and gentlemen. He was under house arrest. So you shoot someone dead in the street, just go home. Go home for a minute. Watch Bargain Hunt. We'll be back in a sec. Hathaleen was shot to death on Monday night during a confrontation between squatters, driving a bulldozer in the village of al-Qara in the occupied West Bank and residents of the town. So you've got these people that are moving over to the West Bank, an occupied area, right? These people are from Europe. They're from the United States of America. They've got no connection to the Middle East. It's absolute nonsense. The book said, did it? They've got a bulldozer because they're bulldozing Palestinian people's houses. So then this confrontation starts, which you would, wouldn't you? If a bulldozer came down my street knocking down houses, I'd probably come out and go, what's going on? So this guy has then basically started shooting wildly, right? This settler. And a series of those bullets hit this Palestinian guy, and he's dead. So the Israelis have got his body, which they're not releasing for burial, probably because the body will show the evidence of what happened. So they've sent this squatter home and gone, just stay at home for a minute. I know you've just murdered someone on video, ladies and gentlemen. I know you've just murdered someone, but you just go home for a bit. And then what they've done is they've gone, right, we've quickly mark our own homework. Oh, I'll give myself an A star there. Right, it's fine. You can go now because we can't prove that the bullets you fired that were caught on film actually killed the guy.
Surely if you've got the gun, you know what bullets it fires. You've got the body, you know what bullets are in the bloke.
Yeah, but that would suggest that they actually want to know what happened and prosecute the person that did it. And this is the thing, right? For you people out there that think that all this started on October 7th, which there is an alarming amount of people, the West Bank has nothing to do with Hamas.
No.
Nothing. There's no Hamas in the West Bank. So what's your excuse for this? You can release the hostages and it'll all be fine. Okay. How does that work with the West Bank? Where you've got people incentivized by the Israeli government. And armed by the Israeli military, right? Now, about 1 million of these settlers are unemployed. They don't have jobs, and they're funded in their lifestyle and their healthcare by the American taxpayer. Yeah. And the Americans don't even have healthcare. It's honestly insane, and it's got so beyond a joke. And people wonder why there is a Palestinian resistance, a violent resistance. Now, I'm not condoning October 7th or any of that stuff. Read more into that. It was allowed to happen, more and more obvious by the day. In fact, you had an Israeli soldier talking at the Knesset last week about the fact that they were given orders to stand down between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. on the morning of October 7th. That order came through to them. They were told to stand down. We don't know why we've been given these orders, but stand down off the border fence. Explain that to me like I'm 5, why they would do that.
When there was already warnings of an attack.
Yes, from their own side as well. The IDF had warned of what attack was coming. The Egyptians had warned them and the Americans had warned them. It was allowed to happen. Now, people will look at what goes on in the West Bank where you've got some kid with a slingshot and they go, oh, see, terrorist. It's like, okay, all right, fine. Well, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. It depends whether it fits the narrative of the establishment or not. Let's have it right. But you go, okay, so if you're living in the West Bank, right, and you've got some guy, doesn't belong there, obviously, probably talking with a Brooklyn accent, rolling in his bulldozer to bulldoze your house. You come out and try and confront them, as you would, any one of you at home would do. You then get shot to death. They take your body. They say it's all right, we can't prove he did it. You carry on. He'll be back in that bulldozer within 24 hours.
Yeah.
As a Palestinian, what are you meant to do? To protect yourself, to protect your family, to protect your land, to protect your house, protect your livelihood, your olive grove, which they're burning down on the regular. Honestly, this is a genuine question. What are they meant to do? What would you expect them to do? Because these Bible Belt Christians in America that stand with Israel no matter what and all that sort of stuff, if someone came to your land with a bulldozer to knock down your ranch or your farm or your house or whatever, and then one of your family members stood there and said, don't do it, and they shot him in the head and then let the person get away with it, what would you do about it? Genuine question. What would you do?
Well, this is where most people don't have an answer, because most people don't know this goes on.
This is a daily occurrence in the West Bank.
Yeah, it is.
And it has been for years. You know, this did not start on October the 7th. This Israeli terrorism, where you had the Stern Gang, you had the Ergun, whose leader went on to be the prime minister of Israel, blowing up the King David Hotel, killing British soldiers. This stuff has been going on for 80 years. And people go, oh no, it happened 2 years ago. Mate.
Well, that's the key that has been, as what's held this whole Israeli control system together, has been the control of narrative, control of information. The fact that people don't know this dates back to 1948. They don't know this dates back to 1967 and the Six-Day War. And all those things that have happened that have led to a resistance. Now, I'm with you. Having Hamas is absolutely created by Israel. It gives them the excuse to do what they've done, or the apparent excuse to do what they've done. You know, when you had the Palestinian Liberation Organization of Yasser Arafat, for example, was that a violent fight back? Yet how many attempts to assassinate Yasser Arafat was there that are known?
I'd say they did in the end.
Well, yeah, quite possibly. It was in Egypt, wasn't it? But how many times did they admit to trying to assassinate him? Well, why?
The fact is, Hamas was created in the 1980s, right? So when people talk about Israel-Palestine, the conflict, go, okay, all right. So if we're going to blame Hamas for everything, right? Now, I have no skin in the game for Hamas at all. But if you're going to blame them for everything, okay, you can only do that from 1981.
Yeah.
So what are you doing for the 40 years before that? Who are you blaming for that? Now, the British government actually has a hell of a lot of responsibility. This is another thing that annoys me. Where you get people going, "Oh, well, why does Britain get involved with X, Y, and Z?" Well, we caused it, mate. You promised someone else's land to someone else.
Yep.
It's like me giving your house to someone else, signing off your house to someone else, and then when a conflict starts, going, "I don't know what happened."
Yep. Absolutely.
You caused it, mate.
Absolutely. And this isn't going to end with a two-state solution. There isn't a two states, because
Of course not.
You've got Gaza, you've got the West Bank, which large factions of which are occupied. So what's going to happen now then? Are they just going to get up and leave?
Well, they're going to annex the West Bank. Trump will sign off on that.
Yeah,
every day of the week.
That's this great deal of the century that he's been on about.
Of course. And this is the thing as well, ladies and gentlemen, because you've got Macron saying he's going to recognise a Palestinian state. You've got Zippy Starmer saying he's going to recognise a Palestinian state.
In September, though.
Yeah, which would change the game. Now, he ain't going to do that, right? Starmer is as owned, the British government is as occupied as the American government. Just AIPAC are a little bit more blatant, but the Israeli lobby in the UK is just as powerful, right?
Labour Friends of Israel, yeah.
So he's not going to do that. But he's had to say he's going to do that because public opinion has gone so far now. There's so many people that are seeing what's going on in Gaza going, even people that a year ago, 6 months ago, were going, just release hostages, it's over, are now going, oh man, I can't stomach this anymore. This is too far. This is too much.
When you're on the same side as Piers Morgan, then all of a sudden you know it's gone way too far.
Exactly. So Zippy Starmer's got to do something because he's losing the room. So he said, I'm going to recognise that Palestinian state. Now, he could have done it yesterday, but like you say, he's waiting until September. So something is going to happen between now and September, so we're only talking a month, which will stop him from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's Zippy Starmer, so he may well just backtrack on it because that's what he's done on everything else, winter fuel payments, tuition fees, whatever. But something will have to happen, I think, for him to go, oh, actually, I was going to do that, but X, Y, and Z has now changed the game.
Well, yeah, right at the start of the conflict, he said that they could turn off the water, didn't he? He literally doesn't have a clue what he's saying. He will backtrack. He will say whatever he thinks is going to get him popularity in the moment, and then he backtracks on it when he hopes people have forgotten what he said previously.
Well, he's a civil rights lawyer by trade, Zippy Starmer, so he knows that cutting off electricity and water to a civilian population is a war crime. He knows that. But because he's owned, like they're all owned, he sat there and said that on LBC, I think it was, to Nick Ferrari, that they had a right to do that.
Yeah.
When he knows, they don't.
They don't, yeah. So you're right. When you know the outcome, you'll see the journey towards it. And the outcome is they want to annex the West Bank. They want to get rid of the Palestinians off that land, and it'd be part of a greater Israel project. So something will happen in between to make that a reality, or at least make them try and make that a reality.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to head back to America. So Make America Healthy Again was one of the big sales pitches of this last election. RFK was going to get in there. He was going to get the COVID vaccine off the market. He was going to order a review into childhood vaccines, into measles, MMR vaccine, into autism, into all those things. He's going to tackle the food corporations to get toxic dyes and toxic chemicals and seed oils all out of your food. Any of that happened?
He got some sugar put in stuff, didn't he?
Oh yeah, raw sugar cane in Coca-Cola rather than fructose corn syrup, which is okay. But apart from that, absolutely nothing. And also he's been promoting wearables, RFK. But this is a big one. Trump's EPA continues Biden administration appeal of historic fluoride ruling. Right, so basically under the Biden administration, there was a ruling against that sort of highlighted that fluoride was clearly very toxic and that it didn't need to be in the water supply and that it had an impact on the IQ of children in this study. Rather than go, okay, that's doing exactly what we want it to do, it's highlighting the fact that things are bad, we're going to crack on and ban it and push, they're actually doing the opposite, Gareth. On Friday, the Environmental Protection Agency officially appealed a federal court ruling which ordered the agency to take action against the risks posed by fluoridation chemicals. The EPA stated that their appeal has 3 arguments, including the belief that plaintiffs lack standing, so apparently the kids in the study and the people in the study lack standing. I don't really particularly know what that means.
They're all sat down.
The judge improperly considered new evidence, and the district court went beyond the authority of the management of the case. I don't hear anyone stating there that the findings of the case were wrong, though. The fact that fluoride causes damage to your brain, causes damage to the pineal gland, and does affect IQ. They're trying to get out of this on technicalities rather than actually the evidence that's been produced and the findings of the study are wrong. You'll see this a lot. This kind of reminds me of these computer models that we use to justify certain things, is you can make them say what you want them to say, and if they don't say what you want them to say, you manipulate and input data slightly differently so you get the outcome you want. If you're doing a study on the safety of fluoride and it concludes with no doubt, which is what this study has done, that fluoride is not safe and that it does have an impact on the health of children, you can't fight on that hill. You need to fight on another one. So all of a sudden they're fighting on one based on a technicality of standing, of, stuff not being considered correctly. It's just absolutely incredible. The EPA's appeal is the latest development in a nearly decade-long saga between the EPA and the parents of children impacted by water fluoridation, as well as the Fluoride Action Network. The lawsuit began following the EPA's 2016 decision to deny the plaintiffs' petition under the Toxic Substances Control Act. So essentially what they're trying to do, or were trying to do, is have fluoride considered a toxic chemical and therefore come under the regulation of that particular regulatory body, where it can't just go in water essentially unmonitored of how much is going in, and ideally, as a result of it, doesn't go in water at all. So this doesn't really work with Make America Healthy Again, because one of the first kind of rabbit holes people go down when it comes to looking at information that is slightly different is fluoride, is chemtrails, is things like that, 9/11. These sort of big things that people look at. But health is a massive one, and fluoride is a huge, huge one because it's in the drinking water of most people. It's in the toothpastes that most people drink every single day, and people are taught it's very good for your teeth, and that's why it's added into water. That's why it's put into toothpaste. When that's a complete scam and a complete sham, and it doesn't take much research to figure that out. So for 2 simple reasons. One, people say fluoride. Well, fluoride is a very generic term that actually doesn't describe a product, because there's 2 types of fluoride. There's calcium fluoride and sodium fluoride. Calcium fluoride is a naturally occurring substance that can be found in mineral water in very, very low quantities. Sodium fluoride is a man-made toxic substance. Which one do you think is injected into the water and which one do you think is in toothpaste? Well, I'll give you a clue. It's not the naturally occurring one. So as a result, they can argue that calcium fluoride, but they just remove the calcium part. They just say fluoride can be beneficial for teeth. They don't tell you that actually the one that they're injecting into all your stuff is not the one that has any standing on that. And they also ignore all the facts that this was used by the Nazis to put into the drinking supply of people in concentration camps, supposedly. It's been connected with so many examples of lowering IQ, of causing brain development deficiencies, attacks on the pineal gland, which, if you want to get deep into the rabbit hole, pineal gland and your ability to be more connected spiritually to whatever has created this, that's very influential, the pineal gland. So calcifying that by overusing fluoride or using fluoride at all of that is adding to this massive disconnection between us and whatever's next, as well as huge attacks on the health of children.
Yeah, and also, it's when people realise that fluoride is a neurotoxin. Fluoride is a byproduct of the chemical industry. It's as Jay says, like they miss certain bits out. You find that all the time, that they lie by admission a little bit. Now with fluoride, it's an interesting thing. I spoke to a lady called Joy Warren, who's part of a action group here in the UK, who's fighting back, because actually most of the United Kingdom doesn't fluoridize their water, but most of them are in the process of attempting to.
Yeah.
So actually, there is a bit of a tipping point, ladies and gentlemen, which is why these organisations exist, and they exist in the United States as well. And this is another thing which is interesting. Bearing in mind, people think I talk about Israel all the time, but when you look into where the fluoride comes from, which goes into America, but mainly into Europe and definitely into the United Kingdom, it's coming from the Negev Desert, and it's coming from the Israeli chemical industry. What's crazy about that is because basically what these organizations need to do, these chemical organizations, is they need to basically treat the chemical, these byproducts, treat it, and then so it sort of nullifies it, then bury it. That's what they're supposed to do, to dispose of it. That's going to cost a lot of money. So what they can do is they can make money, not a lot, but they can make money by selling it to foreign governments. So that's what they do. They ship it out up and into the United Kingdom, and it goes into the water supply, which, as Jay says, it lowers the IQ of children. But what it does also, like all neurotoxins, particularly metals, is they make people docile.
Yeah.
So kids were given lithium to zone them out, because that's what it does. And you think if you start putting your little tinfoil hat on, then you start going, well, hang on, you're creating an ill population. Well, that's good for the pharmaceutical industry, money. But you're also creating a docile, less resilient population, which is less likely to think critically because its IQ's been battered, and it's also less likely to stand up and say no and fight because it's docile. So there's obviously an intention behind that to do that.
Yep.
Now, when you look at that and you think, well, okay, well, all this is coming from the Negev, from the desert in Israel. Why are they not using it in their water supply? Why are they selling it to Europe? Why are they selling it to the United Kingdom and to America? Well, that's because Israel banned it over 10 years ago because of low IQ, danger to health, brain development, all the things that Jay's just listed. So you ask yourself, you go, well, hang on a minute. So a country is producing this chemical. I mean, it's produced in other places as well, but Israel, given the size of the country, is actually quite a large percentage of it, given the size of the country, like I say. If that country is banning it because of numerous studies proving how dangerous it is, why on earth would you, as a British government, as a French government, go and buy it off them? It's mad, isn't it?
It's mental. It reminds me of the whole Bill Gates. Do you vaccinate your own kids? I'm pass on that one.
Well, of course he doesn't.
Well, why would you? Well,
I mean, I can't prove that he doesn't, but I, if I was a gambling man,
well, yeah,
I would suggest he doesn't. Because I would suggest, in the same way that you have all these people within Microsoft and these other organizations that have spoken out over the years, to be fair, about the fact that they don't let their kids on these devices that you're mass producing and dishing out to the population. You won't let your kids on them. See, that is mental to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
it's don't lick that battery. Don't lick that battery. So if it's not good enough for your kid, why would you promote it for other children and make money off it?
That's psychopathy.
Well,
101.
It's mad. It's full of them. Talking of psychopathy, you've got to be a bit mad to attack the energy infrastructure of your country, but they've done that. And you've got to be even more mad to put fluoride in the water of your country, but they're doing that. And then you've got to be even more mad to attack the food supply of your country. But here we are. This is from the Daily Telegraph. Rayner, Angela Rayner, who's deputy leader of the Labour Party, she's a professional northerner, right? Because she's one of us, because she talks a little bit like us. So therefore, she's not the political class.
No. I'm from the south, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, she's not the political class because she speaks in a common accent.
Yes, she does.
Therefore, she's one of us. She wouldn't screw us over.
No.
Angela Rayner has given the green light for cash-strapped councils to sell off allotments to raise funds. As Housing Secretary, the Deputy Prime Minister has given councils flexibility, has given them the green light then, to sell some assets, including allotment sites, to fund day-to-day spending, to send over to Ukraine probably, or to house migrants. She's
more likely.
She has already personally approved the sale of 8 allotment sites across England since Labour came to power. Under the Allotment Act of 1925, any disposal of allotment sites requires Westminster to give the go-ahead.
A lot of them are around you as well, when I looked at where they are.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people around my area in North Derbyshire that they grow their own food. And that's the point, isn't it? You attack farmers massively. I mean, and this isn't just an attack on Labour, because the Tories did it as well, but Labour have just kind of just whacked it into sixth. So you attack farmers and the ability to mass feed, I guess, to mass feed the population through manufactured energy price increases. They blame it on the Russians, but it doesn't seem to be affecting France or any other nation. It just seems to be us, Britain, paying the highest energy prices in the world.
Also, if prices are going up, why are profits also going up?
Well, exactly.
That doesn't make any sense
Doesn't
whatsoever.
make any sense. But so that makes food more expensive. So okay, you can't afford the food. So we're attacking the food supply through farmers. We're making food unaffordable for the population. Don't worry about it. That's okay. You can always grow your own. There's plenty of Oh, they've sold them.
Yep.
Oh, they've sold them. Now, the excuse they give here is to raise money, cash strapped. Well, the government doesn't need to raise money by selling off allotments. They could just stop sending money to the little Primark action man in Ukraine. They could stop doing that for a start. They could stop spending millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds a day on hotels for unvetted migrants. It's just an idea.
Yeah.
Why not do that instead of selling off allotments? But what you need an excuse. So the excuse is we're cash strapped. So people will look at it and go, oh, yeah, I don't want them to sell allotments. That's quite bad. But we have to because we're cash strapped. And then it comes back to what we were talking about before. I don't want the government to increase military spending because, it could go into public services and everything else. But we have to because we're under attack from the Russians and China and Martians and whoever else it is this week. Same with online safety, with the online safety bill that's just gone through here in the United Kingdom. It's about preventing people from seeing things. It's about protecting narratives, stopping information getting out there, stifling free speech. But they can't tell you that. So they have to tell you it's for protecting kids. Mm-hmm. So then people go, oh, yeah, I don't really like, having everything policed and censored. But if it protects the kids, then I'll agree to it.
And the thing is as well, is that tactic works on every side. So you've got the left that will massively be in favour of, censoring speech, as we've seen, which is ironic given the history of the left. So the online safety bill, great. We want to protect kids, great. They've used that argument, sold it to them. We need to have digital ID to protect ourselves against these migrants running around causing all this problem. Okay, well, the right, that wouldn't like that tactic's going to work with them. We need to have defence spending to protect you and your family. That probably work for everyone, to be fair. The same tactic you can see being played on different people, and we just need to get more streetwise. People need to get more streetwise. For me, a great way to start, if you're watching this morning for one of the first times, and you're thinking about how do I every single thing you see anybody in authority say, always look at it with the assumption there's an ulterior motive behind it that is not what they are saying it is. Think about it. If someone's saying something, someone's trying to sell you something, think of the most manipulative and aggressive and unpleasant reason they could be using to sell you something. And that's probably closer to the reality of why they're really telling you it. So like online safety bill, as you mentioned, good example. It's about protecting kids online from being radicalized, from seeing extreme pornography, from getting involved in gambling and so on, from being groomed. I think most people could probably look at that and go, okay, I can get on board with some kind of some kind of protection for that. We've seen those things explode in the last few years. But that's not the real reason. The real reason is very, very sinister, which is to stop you thinking, speaking, saying how you feel, stop you connecting with other people who maybe can see the same things that you can. If they said that as the sales pitch, you wouldn't be sold on it. So I'd say that's a really, really good way to start looking at the world differently. What is the ulterior motive behind it that has nothing to do with the sales pitch that they're telling you in public? If you start doing that, you'll see the world very differently, very quickly. And it will make a lot more sense of the world as well. It'll make a lot more sense of the world and what we're seeing.
Well, politicians lie. And everyone knows that as well. That's the thing. Everyone knows that. Every now and then.
Only a little bit, though.
People get this collective amnesia like every 4 years when it comes to an election cycle where suddenly they back another person. And then that person gets elected and they show themselves to be a liar. And then they go, oh, God, all politicians are liars. And they believe that for 3.5 years. And then, oh, there's an election coming up. That one. Okay. But if you go with the attitude, as Jay's saying there, basically, is that politicians lie, therefore I'm being lied to. Okay, so that's my default point, I'm being lied to. And then you start delving into why I'm being lied to, how I'm being lied to, why I'm being gaslit, and what the end goal is. Now, that's the bit that requires less and less research, actually, because it's more and more bloody obvious.
It's more and more obvious, yeah.
But that's the bit that you have to get into the nitty-gritty and start doing research. But I always start with the default position of you is lying.
And then we know they're lying. I remember years ago, Andrew Neil, the BBC journalist, in brackets there, journalist, said to Dad once in an interview, when Dad was talking about the invasion of Iraq and how they'd lied about weapons of mass destruction. And he said a line which struck with me because of how experienced he is in the industry and he's been around for so long and how he accepted this. And he went, are they lying or is it just politicians doing the time honourable thing of being less than honest with us? It's like,
well, what's the difference?
What's the difference? And also, why should we accept that? Why should we accept as a country, just the UK, 70 million people, 650, really only about 350, 400 that have any influence, lying through their teeth to us, which is leading to devastation across the country in so many different ways. Why should we accept that? That's pathetic.
Well, people are apathetic towards it. It's like, well, yeah, politicians lie, that's what they do. Oh, well, pop telly on.
No, not anymore.
No, it shouldn't be that way.
It's too late in the game for that now.
Yeah, it is.
Way too late in the game.
Right, well, I'm back tomorrow on my own, I think. And
you are?
Yeah, so thank you very much for tuning in. It's nice to be back, actually. I've spent like a week on holiday, but it's nice to be back and at the coal face.
You can say it with a bit more conviction. Come on.
No, I'm quite happy with that amount of conviction. At the coal face. Where can I get my coffee, Joe, if I want some coffee, mate?
Shop.iconic.com. Use the code TRENDING to get 10% off. All proceeds go towards supporting this program and every other program that we produce here on the channel. We're going to make sure that we're colour coordinated, I think, from now on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely. Have a fantastic...
We look like a pair of orderlies, don't we? From hospital.
Do we?
Yeah, a pair of...
I mean, I've got a collar. So.
Pair of porters. Me and you, maybe you're the more senior porter then. Yeah, we're just wheeling around dead bodies for a living.
Thanks for tuning in with us this morning, everybody. As Gaz says, he'll be back in the morning. Have a great Monday. Bye for now.